Now, the murder trial of football star Meyiwa continues at the High Court in Pretoria today. The spotlight remains on how the police handled or mishandled the crime scene. SAP's forensic investigator Manqoba Mchunu told the court how she discovered a bullet case on the scene. Mchunu was the crime scene photographer the night Meyiwa was killed. Our reporter Manqoba Mchunu is following proceedings and he joins us now live from outside court. Manqoba, of course, Mhlalu's cross-examination continuing. Zandile Mshololo, for accused number 5, has been presenting questions to her today. What has come out of that?
Well, indeed, Masiko, and in fact, you recall that where we left off yesterday was the defense putting it to Mhlalu that, in fact, the scene of the crime had been tampered on the night that Meyiwa had died. And in fact, that when the police had arrived on the scene, you recall that we heard evidence from Mhlalu that she actually arrived the next day after this incident had occurred. And she was the one that actually found the bullet projectile on the kitchen in the cupboard, and she had told the court that she had followed the fragments of the door that had been shattered, and this is how she managed to locate this particular projectile. But of course, the defense is saying that there could have been sin tampering that could have occurred, given the fact that the police only arrived, the forensic team that included Mhlalu, only arrived in the morning, and this is when this particular projectile was found. And you recall, Maseko, that from the evidence that we've heard from Thabo Mosia, who was the first to arrive on the scene, is that when he arrived on the 26th of October and he had combed that particular scene, he did not find that bullet projectile. It was only the next day when 3 of them, including Mhlalu and Lieutenant Zwane, were in the house that they then located this particular bullet projectile. And the reason why he couldn't find, or she couldn't find this particular projectile, according to the defense, is that they say it was planted during these hours when the scene was left unattended. And that's a session that we heard from Advocate Zandile Mshololo, who put it to Mhlalu that in fact this particular scene had been contaminated and that possibly there were people that had planted that bullet projectile there. But let's take a listen to how that unraveled in court.
The reason why Mr. Mosia did not find this bullet, it's because it was not there when he inspected the area, and it was planted by the people who were moving in and out of the scene after he had left and before your arrival.
Shifting the glass jars as well as also shifting the other items that were on the top there. If, my lord, I didn't follow the trajectory as per the damage on the door, and if I hadn't moved those items, maybe I would also not have found that bullet. So by moving the items that were on the top there, that is where the bullet head was found.
My point is that bullet was not there, and it was placed by people who were moving in and out of that area, since it was not closed, to avoid tampering with the crime scene before you arrived.
I won't be able to speak about something that happened prior to my arrival, my lord. I am talking about that which happened when I was there, that I found the bullet behind those glass jars.
My question is, people had been moving in and out, passing that area where you discovered that bullet after Mosia had left.
I hear you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Manqoba Mchunu live for us outside the High Court in Pretoria. Let's leave it there for now. We'll catch up with you a little later on Channel. Manqoba, following the Meyiwa murder trial.